am joined here with Jason and Raina of Baguette Bound. Let's unpack your story. What brought you to France, and then how did you pick to go there?
So we had long dreamed, when we were kind of working our careers in the U.S., that maybe we'd take a long summer in Europe, and we just do a summer. We'd take a couple months off. That dream kind of expanded over time. Maybe we'd spend a year. Post-COVID, we were working from home. Opportunities felt endless, and we thought, let's just do this thing right now. I was at a transition phase in my career, and instead of starting a new job, let's spend a year in France. And then after a few months, we decided to stay.
Up until then, we'd always thought this would be a temporary thing.
Yeah.
And our family's all waiting. Our stuff is waiting in storage, but Juliana was already in middle school. She was already learning French. She already had a little group of French friends. They're so cute. And it was the moment, I think it was definitive that we were like, oh, wow, our life goal now is to be where we're already at.
Yes. Now, I think that's the biggest myth in my inbox when it's a new client writing to me. They're like, I'm coming out for 1 year. And I'm like, I'm sure you are. Well, let's chat in 12 months' time about that whole 1 year thing.
Yeah.
Because once we get here, we see the baguette's 120, and the pain au chocolat's fresh every day. And when I used to live in Paris, there was 3 boulangeries on my street. Like it was, turn left, right, and center. You get to pick one. That my quality of life soared through the roof. That I was enjoying my life more. I found life more interesting, more challenging, a better version of when I was living in the U.S. I hate cars, I couldn't see myself going back to it.
Yeah, sure.
But to your point, before I got into the field, I assumed there's 2 ways to move to France. You marry a Frenchie, or you get one of those intercorporate transfers.
Yeah.
And I thought, as a lawyer, it's kind of hard because lawyers are jurisdictionally, constrained and what have you. I didn't see how it was going to happen, but I knew it in my heart that France had to be here. I had to make this happen.
Yeah.
And then I did a little bit more research online, and nowadays I think it's more obvious than ever through your channels, through my channel, how doable it is.
There's a path. Yeah. If you want it, usually there is a path you can find.
Big time.
Yeah.
And so then how did you choose where to live in France?
We initially targeted Bordeaux. Bordeaux was going to be our landing spot. And as we started to look around, it kind of narrowed our field. It made it much easier to choose. And we ended up in a small countryside village because that's where we could find the kind of house that we wanted to be in for a year.
Yeah, we followed the train line out of Bordeaux. We were like, oh, look, there's a place in this town on the train line.
Beautiful house out in the vineyards. And that wasn't where we thought we would land when we started. But it's where we were going. And then once we were there, we just didn't want to give it up.
Yeah. Do you get lonely in the French countryside?
I think social life looks different, outside of bigger cultural centers. But just in our village, we have a little cultural center. There are shows and movies and exhibitions happening.
Yeah, I think rural or the countryside in France looks so much different than rural America. I don't know if lonely is the right word, but there's definitely a period of time, an adjustment period that you kind of push through. Yeah.
But I think you fall through the cracks list too when you're in a village, just because you are going to see those same, 2,500 people. We never walk through town or go to the market without seeing somebody that we know, right? Yeah. At Juliana's first school, in the first village we were in, we've moved about half an hour away from it now. We were the American family, and we were so quickly adopted by a couple of French families that they were like, oh, you're not going to know what the cross is, which is this 3-mile run that all middle students do every year. And they were like, oh, you won't know what that is. So they called us and made sure, do you know where to be? Do you know what's happening? And so I think it's it brought us more into a social circle actually than maybe it would have been even if we were in a bigger place, which feels a little inversely instinctive. But
one topic that I'm always passionate about is raising kids in France. And there's a lot of examples of people that are doing successfully. I think it's one of the greatest gifts that we can give to kids is to show them a new culture, a new setting, and that there's not really too old of an age. Maybe younger than 13 is better, because that's still a very malleable age to kind of come in and absorb a new culture and pick things up. How has it gone, and how long did it take Juliana, your daughter, to get used to it?
Yeah, sure. So when we arrived, she was going into her first year of middle school. We arrived weeks before school started, so there was no integration process. She was just right into school every day. The school she went to was all in French. It was a French public school. So she was thrown right in, and probably after 6 months, things started to get easier. She had a group of friends. She made those very quickly. I'm grateful for that. And then after the first year, when we decided to stay, and she was going into her second year, she really kind of took off from that point. It's been incredible to see her like take pride in, this was really hard. I didn't like this today, but I realized that I'm doing something hard. I kind of see the pride coming through in her when, you know, she's in like the French grammar class and she's answering questions. She'll come up, I answered 2 questions in French grammar class today. You won't believe it. It's like, oh, I'm so proud. And she knows that, and it's incredible to see the pride that she's gotten out of
I think
her accomplishments.
it builds her confidence in a way that you can't do for anyone else. Like, you can't do that for someone else. I think we underestimate how often, we underestimate how resilient and how much kids will rise to the challenge.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're just more prepared for the next one. And that's a gift, I think.
Yeah. Now, I know at least up in Paris, they have like an integration school. Like if you're showing up in France and you don't have any language level of French, they'll have like a program for you to kind of ease into it. Do they not have that in local town? It's just, here is French school, go to town?
Yeah, no, they did. They had a language integration.
Okay.
French French is a foreign language class.
She was at least 50% in FLE and then 50% in her other classes, which could be challenging too, because she's still taking tests in the math class that she's missed maybe half of the classes in. And but I have to say the teachers were really aware of that, and they would actually even modify her tests or let her do them in a slightly different way. I just like I couldn't say enough. We met with her math teacher at the first parent-teacher conference where I spoke no French, and I started crying because I was like just so grateful that they had just been so, they were really thinking about her experience and her education and how to progress her. And I just felt like that's not owed to us. Like, we just showed up here. Yeah. And I was so grateful. And she looked at me like a crazy American woman. But I hope that she knew how much I appreciated it.
I would say worst case scenario is an interesting essay for her American college, application.
Yes.
And best case scenario, it's this gift of becoming French and understanding France through French culture, through like the slang of the French kids as they're growing up, as it's going, that she's riding this wave of what does it mean to be a high schooler or a teenager in France.
Yes.
Now, you were saying French schooling is hard. Tell me about that.
So the days are longer. That definitely took some adjustment. I think the teachers are generally more straightforward, more abrupt. With the students.
They're more direct with their feedback.
Yeah.
That in ways I think American teachers would absolutely never give direct feedback.
Yeah.
And it's the Socratic method, right? I think, which is more like the teacher will lecture, you will debate something, you will write an essay, you will write the essay this way from now until forever. It is quite structured education. And then homework.
She has a fair amount of homework too. In addition to that longer day, she usually comes home and she's got homework. Yeah. It feels like more of a full-time job than what I remember from my middle school days.
Yeah, it is intense, but I think it's a good quality education in that the French are trying to make well-rounded, critically thinking, debating people who have an education in both the humanities and math. Like, I think it's, I've been happy with the education that she's been getting here in France, even though also I think an important thing to think about coming from the States, where schools are state funded and then sometimes by property tax, and like there can be huge disparities between schools. I know that there are some here within, France, like not every school is exactly equal, but because of the centralized curriculum, I definitely feel that there's less variability comparing it to the US. So I feel like even though we live in a small, in the countryside, I feel good about the education she's getting. She does have a long lunch break, so we will say the day is longer, but she does get anywhere from an hour to 2 hours, depending. And I asked her, like, what do you guys do? Like, do you actually sit at the table, like, and eat for that long? And she's like, no, we take a break. We eat and we talk, and then maybe we play cards, and some kids go play basketball, and like they take a real break.
Was she always on board, or was there days where she wanted to cook, but you wanted to stick it out?
Yeah. From the very beginning, when we first started talking about this in the U.S. before we left, she was excited. She was on board. She's always been adventurous. She's had a passport since she was little. She loves to travel. So she was, from conversation one, she was on board. She's
going to have spent half of her childhood, in the U.S. and half here in France. And I do think like she became more aware this year when she saw 8th grade graduations of her friends and now there'll be homecoming, and she told me, Mom, I'm American, but there are American things that I will never experience.
Yeah.
And that's something that is always going to be hard. You're always going to feel of two places now and love both for different things in different ways.
Yeah. I almost have a counter example of it. One of my close friends in Paris, they're older than I am, and they had a daughter born and raised here in France. And at age 16, she stopped fitting in so well into French high school. And so then at age 16, for the first time in her life, came to live in America to do the American high school experience, and like go to be, pom-poms and, cheerleading and all that. And it was maybe better suited to her academic, setting.
Yeah.
And the shoe doesn't getting on the other foot, because I do like the American high school experience. It is free, unlike American college, which is wicked expensive.
Yep.
There's great school spirit, there's mascots, there's colors,
It's
there's songs.
different.
It's fun, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the American high school experience is wonderful, and I do wish that if it's a free thing, because American high school is free, that's one thing I would love to see in French high schools more, is more school spirit, more of like the high school volleyball team. Like, these kinds of things don't necessarily exist in French schooling. They can exist outside of it, right? So like, there might be the local running club, or the local, triathlon club, or the kayaking club, and so then they can kind of just join those and have friends outside of school in that kind of manner. But it won't be, and it shouldn't be, reproducing the exact same experience as the U.S. educational experience.
Yeah, and I feel like in France, it's like our tax dollars are paying to educate children in academics, not to build a football stadium, which we're from Texas. Some of the high school football stadiums are like, they could be, they're impressive. Yeah. But the other thing, it's funny, like what Juliana has noticed is she's like, Mom, I think because there is less of that, even though she misses theater, she loves theater, there are things that she misses from the U.S. schooling system, and at the same time she said, I think it tends to like put people less in boxes, because there isn't like so much of that, like the jocks and the band geeks and because she's like, we're basically all just kind of here trying to learn the same history facts. So this is the thing of like, once you experience two cultures, you suddenly you want all the best things of both of them.
And I think the three of us are uniquely positioned to be able to do that. So like, you both mentioned to me that you love bringing Thanksgiving to your little town, and I see that up in the Paris suburbs where I live. That's a cool and unique thing, that the French will come to it not really understanding what Thanksgiving is, and that's then our chance to share it with them. Like, it's a day of thankfulness. My first time I celebrated it was on Reunion Island in 2011-2012, the French overseas territories. That's where I taught English for a school year. And it wasn't Thanksgiving, it was Thanksgiving, because we had the world's hardest time trying to find a turkey on Reunion Island.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, we did. There was like one in like a random freezer in the capital city in Saint Denis. And then someone showed up with like a 5-liter bottle of rum. I was like, this is not a Thanksgiving tradition. Yeah. This is like, we're making up new traditions here. This is no way we're shoehorning this, Thanksgiving into this. But that's the reality, is that maybe then it's on us to show or figure out how to make stuffing and gravy and mashed potatoes and all the things that we associate with it.
I had never, because you can't find canned Libby pumpkin here. So I had never cooked an actual pumpkin to make pumpkin pie. I was like, oh, I guess this is where they come from. But you get ingenuitive and you figure it out.
And so, tell me about Baguette Bound. Where did the idea come for you to make more videos about your whole immigrant experience? How did you get started?
When we moved here, we found lots of information on retirees, or
British retirees,
coming to France and how they did it. And so what we couldn't find was Americans sharing information on this experience, and American families with kids. And it went pretty quickly from just a few video ideas that we wrote down on a piece of paper, and let's make a few videos and put them out there. Now we're making a video a week for a couple of years now, and
it just grew so fast, and we didn't. I think that's like when you put something out in the world and it's needed, then sometimes it quickly finds momentum. And
just the feedback we got from people watching it, they would leave comments in the videos and want more information, or they'd send us emails, and it turned into a whole new opportunity.
But I think the coolest thing is to see people who they have this dream, and they're not exactly sure how to connect the dots and make it happen, which is part of your role too in people's lives. And to see them, when we get emails now, because now we've been doing this for almost 3 years or 2, something like that, and people watch some of the first videos and helped them along the stage and plan it. Now they're here, and the dream's been realized, and they're living their life. That's it's just so cool. And I'm sure you've experienced that probably even a larger degree than we have, like to have some small part in someone going for something that's hard but that they really want to do, and achieving it is like that's super cool. It's never gonna get old.
No, I feel like the doctor in the delivery room when a person becomes naturalized, I get so enthusiastic. Or if they got like one of the harder ones, like talent passport, international renown, or like artists, I'm like, yeah, baby, we got it. Like sobbing, shouting in the office, and it's like, are you new here? Like, this is the first visa you filed for. But I just get so proud when a person gets to become naturalized, because that's winning the board game. That means that you have mastered all the rules, that you've become one of them, and that they see you as it.
It's so much fun to share this journey with people that were either viewers on our station or that we're working with as clients, because you get to work with them for a number of months through these processes, and you see them like jump over these hurdles. Sometimes it's jumping over with our help, and that feels good. And then you see them start to do things on their own, and they send us feedback like, hey, I did this.
Well, I was just thinking about this, talking about the idea that you come from one place, and it's like you're grateful for that place, and it's still a deep part of you, and also feeling that maybe there's somewhere that you belong. But it feels like there's things that feel like they fit here in a way for me that maybe didn't always in the US. Like I was always trying to like shoehorn something.
Yes.
And I'd be forever grateful for that. Like to be in a place where the natural rhythm of the place feels like it matches your own.
One of the ways that I think about it is what is my nationality. So for years, of course, I'm American, and I was very, very American for a long time. And then for several number of years before I became French, I felt like my nationality has shifted, not yet becoming French, but my nationality had become American in France. And that was the kind of the terminology for what I was, even though I wasn't, French or French. And then of course now have become French. I got the passport and the national ID card. My son is born French, and so I am, by all definitions, legally and otherwise Franco-American. Although I'm probably more American than Franco, that's outside my control. But that transitional nationality, an American in France, made it feel such that I would go back to the States and I could not relate anymore. I was the champagne cork outside of the bottle. You could never force me back into that champagne bottle because I no longer fit.
You changed as a person.
Yeah, I've changed. I've let myself be changed, and now I can only really truly be this new version of myself here in France because I'm thriving as an expat or as an immigrant.
It's strange, kind of that, through this process, when you feel like you've kind of got roots in two places. Maybe the roots are more full grown in the U.S. and they're just still growing here in France, and it's been a strange experience. We've only been here 3 years, but just to think back about what it felt like in the first year when we were somewhere outside of France and we heard French being spoken, it still felt like a foreign language, right? And now when we go on trips and I hear French being spoken, in Europe or wherever we are outside of France, it's like, oh, that's home, right? That's like the sound of home that I'm hearing. And that's a strange transition over just a couple of years. And when we do go back to the US, I like the US, I like going back to the US. There's lots of great things. But it doesn't feel like home anymore in the same way. It still feels comfortable and familiar, but it's just different now that we've had 3 years here.
We often define home as where we're not, and it's hard for us to start defining home by where we are. And there's like a flipping point. For you were describing the aha moment for where you're like, actually no, let's actually make France our home. But then there's a different moment to say like, and now France is home.
That's a good point.
And for me, it was the moment where I really felt ingrained finally in France, like this, and you can't pull me out, is having a kid be born here in France. The whole process of like all like because I feel like we really well followed during the course of our medical business and prepping up to the birthing and then the birthing, and they were so kind and gracious and excellent service in the hospital for the birth, and then post-birth they come to your house for 12 days to the sage-femme, and like I felt like it was such a integrated service around us that from him on forward, my son on forward, he will be French and he will be born here. And maybe the first generation we're never truly French, but he will be truly French. And for Juliana, she's going to be a very strong French product. She'll be able to compare America to France, but she's going to come out as an 18-year-old probably a little bit more French than American because those formative years here in France.
Already like some of her mannerisms or the way she says things, I can see it.
Does she do the?
Oh yes, yes.
Yeah, she's picked her up. It's been
funny thing is, I'll pick up little phrases from her in French, and then she's like, "Mom, don't say that."
I know.
Yeah. Like I told the architect the other day by accident, and I should have known because I mean at this point I should know. But I basically said like he asked me what kind of toilet we wanted, and I meant like I don't really have a strong opinion, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to like say. No, I told him I don't give an F.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like,
That's
so what's
something.
funny is actually the same architect, he often corrects my French.
Yeah.
And I think it's almost become a joke, but that was really like, he was like, I'm pretty sure that's not what you meant to tell me. I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
You're right.
I'm okay with that one because I had learned that like there's like je m'en fiche, je m'en fous, which is what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Ça m'est égal. Like there's various gradations of like like I'm indifferent to that.
Yeah,
know.
right. That's where I was going for like a mild. Oh, it's just
It's
really,
okay, yeah. And I had heard that's equivalent of like I don't give an F to say that. But then I like when I was living, 13 years ago, I heard in France, I heard a young girl say that, like, je m'en fous, and I was like, okay, so it's not really,
Right,
it's not
that's what-
line
yes.
for line, like, je m'en fous does not equal I don't give an F. Like, it's
Right.
just a very strong way of saying, like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Is France your forever home?
I don't know. I wouldn't say anything's forever. We've still got family back in the U.S., but France definitely feels like home. I mean, we've bought a house. We're making not just our house here, but our home is here, our family is here. We feel very comfortable here. We're building a business.
The longer we're here, the harder it is for me to imagine what my life would be like in the U.S. Like I've struggled to even picture it
I
now.
can't see that.
And I think really it just comes down to the fact that we have loved ones there. And that's
Yeah.
probably like, we can imagine a situation that we need to be there with them.
Mm-hmm.
But short of that, it's just hard to imagine otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, and the beautiful thing about us not having to renounce U.S. citizenship in order to become French is that we don't have to give that up. So if I need to go back to the States for more than 90 days to take care of an elderly parent or what have you,
Yeah.
I don't have to go out and get a visa. So like, of course, the U.S. allows for dual nationality, so does France. So it allows us to have that duality, to have that sense of belonging in two different locations.
Right. And even if you wanted to renounce, you have to pay for that. So
Yeah, and I don't believe in it too, because U.S. raised me, U.S. taught me, U.S. gave me sidewalks and firefighters, and in any event, you don't see Americans living in France renouncing U.S. citizenship for French citizenship, because we pay more taxes slightly in France than on the U.S. side, so you'd be losing out.
Yeah.
Other than like a financial reason, there's not too many strong reasons to renounce U.S. citizenship.
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm very proud to be American. I'm so glad that that's where I spent my formative years,
Mhm.
and I'm glad to be here now.
absolutely.
Both things can be true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show.
Thanks for watching.